Hello, welcome to another episode of Money and Market, a program that discusses what happens with your money and how it goes around in the economy. All right, today we will be looking at something that the Central Bank of Nigeria brought about, talked about for some few years now, and it has become something that most persons, Nigerians especially, are finding difficult to fully comply with, so to speak. It is the word cashless. Cashless. What is cashless as it is in Nigeria? What is, the phrase or the statement cashless Nigeria? That's what we'll be looking at today. And some time ago, the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is the apex bank in Nigeria, came about a policy about going cashless. In fact, it is a situation where they say it makes, things cheaper, and when it comes to transfer of money, they expect it to be done electronically, and of course, instead of carrying too much cash. So the bottom line of this policy going cashless is just trying to ensure that there's less amount of cash in our hands, though we cannot do without cash, no doubt about that. Okay, and in one of our editions, in one of our episodes on money market, we talked about when too much circulation now in liquidity form of money, there's cash in hand, it tends to affect the strength of the naira, and of course, helps inflation as well. So one of the ways that the Central Bank of Nigeria has been trying to mop up cash from the economy is for the economy to go cashless. So that's what we'll be looking at today. Like I said, going cashless does not stop us from using cash. All right, it only adds. It only gives us the opportunity to go electronically when we want to do some transactions. In fact, we want to do most of our transactions, not some of our transactions. All right, like I said, it does not stop you from using cash. It only adds charges when you withdraw too much cash from the bank. All right, so we'll go deep into what this policy is all about, the benefits, and of course the challenges facing cashless Nigeria. Well, let's also just go into a little bit of highlight what this policy is all about. Like I said, I would do my best to expand it for us to understand, because on this program, Money and Market, we do ensure that even the market woman will understand what we talk about here. All right, let's do a little examples for individuals. Taking more than 500,000 naira in one day attracts a fee, yeah. And for corporate organizations or companies, over 3 million naira will be charged. Now, this pushes people toward digital payments. Okay, so in other words, when an individual withdraws, say in a day, 500,000, more than 500,000 naira, there are charges that will come hitting you, you know, and it wasn't like this before. And of course, for companies above 3 million naira, of course, you have your charges coming your way. So that is when you go, you want to go to the banks or to the ATM or whatever form of withdrawal stand that you want to take cash. As long as it is cash, then you have to pay for some very tangible charges. The percentage is little, but when you convert, or when you do the math, you'll see that some kind of chunk of money is actually leaving your pocket. So the CBN is saying that with this, it will encourage people to go digital. Now, let's start from where this all started from. Like I told you, it's been on for a while. They've been trying to work on this to ensure that cashless Nigeria becomes a reality. As this actually dates back to 2012, started kind of in Lagos first off, and then the thing spread across the cashless economy started spreading across the other parts of Nigeria. So, like I said, the goal of going cashless was to reduce too much cash. In one of our episodes, cash is expensive, it is risky, and of course, it is slow when you want to do some businesses. Don't worry, we'll talk about this one. So, these measures that the Central Bank of Nigeria, you know, form, I mean, that brings about, that we should go into, now form a part of Nigeria's broader drive to modernize the payment system, how payments are now made, you know, uh, and of course, it will help bring about transparency in the transactions we do and definitely deepen financial inclusion. Don't worry, we will talk about this. So, from the graphics that we can see right now on the screen, what the policy says, daily free cash limits, like I said earlier on, 500,000 naira for individuals and 3 million naira for corporates or for big firms, big companies. So cash handling charges apply only when these figures I gave, are above these figures. All right. So you can see that cash, you can do your cash withdrawals from the ATM, from POS, from via USSD, and of course from your bank apps. Okay. And yes, what cashless Nigeria means, as in cash handling charges for excess cash, and this thing, like I said, started from Lagos in the year 2012 and then began to spread nationwide, and of course started hitting every other part of the nation as far back as 2014. But you will agree with me when the cashless economy, or so to speak, hit us really hard when we're preparing for the last election in 2023. All right. So daily free limits and fees, like I said, when you withdraw cash less than the figure, the threshold I just mentioned for individuals, 500,000 naira, and for corporate organizations for 3 million naira, definitely you will have free withdrawals and there'll be no fees charged. But above that threshold, definitely you will be charged. So the aim of the CBN is to reduce cash volume and encourage digital payments. Now, let's break this down a little. I know we'll go into the benefits of the cashless economy for the everyday Nigerian, but let's break things a little bit now, because like I said, I'll come back and explain so that even the Nigerian market women will understand this cashless Nigeria. The bottom line of what we have been talking about is you don't need to carry a large volume of cash around to do business. Back in the day, we could see that people would go to the bank, withdraw a huge sum of money, cash as it is, and then go and do business in other places. So when you look at that, there is some form of inconveniency when you want to do such kind of business, and it also brings about risks. When you go to the banks to withdraw such huge amount of money, cash, put it in bags, you want to go do business, and before you know it, you see armed robbers coming around to hijack you or to, steal from you and all of that. So The Central Bank of Nigeria is saying that to avoid some of these issues, it is better to go cashless, because when you go cashless, it means you go digital, you do your transactions electronically. Like I mentioned earlier on, some of the outlets to do that through the POS, through your bank apps. You know, most of the banks, if not all of the banks, they now have their own application in your phone. You can download, and they can set it up for you in some of these banks, and then you can do your transactions from there instead of going around carrying huge sum of money. And of course, it also makes, like I said, we'll touch on these ones, but I just wanted to understand what the cashless Nigeria means. Bottom line, it reduces some form of risks to you as an individual. I remember some years back in Warri Delta State of Nigeria, where a certain company, I'm not going to mention the company, they were paying their workers as at when due. I think before the month end, they would assemble all of them. They weren't paying their monies into the bank, so they will gather all of them and start paying them. And some of them were going home with this popular, in quotes, Ghana must go back. And when some of them saw the money, huge sums of money back then, someone was receiving as high as 400,000 naira. I mean, when you want to put today's value to that money, it will be running into millions of naira. You know, so those companies were paying these workers cash, and you could see the inconveniences some of these young men had then. You know, those who didn't have a car would embark on what's it called now, motorcycle, you know, as one of the transport means then. They will get on top of these bikes, and before you know it, some guys from nowhere, armed guys, will just go after them, collect this, in quote, Ghana must go bag filled with money, and off they go. So you could see the inconveniences and the risks involved. Inconvenience, carrying the bag of money. Risk, getting, you know, waylaid or, you know, robbed by these armed robbers. So the Central Bank of Nigeria is saying this is one of the reasons why we're saying don't go too much on cash. All right, so just to let you understand that. And when we crossed over from 2025 to 2026, there was a statement that came from the Apex Bank, which is the Central Bank of Nigeria. And we'll talk about that, what they said as in relation to what we're discussing today, the cashless Nigeria. And when we come back from this break, this commercial break, we will continue with the benefits for the everyday Nigeria when it comes to the cashless Nigeria. Stay with us.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254 8724. DSAG Engineering and Services, anticipate, manage, deliver.
All right, thanks for staying with us. And like I said earlier on, we are looking at cashless Nigeria, going cashless. And that's what one of the regulators of the economy, the Central Bank of Nigeria, is trying all they can to ensure that that is achieved. And we're beginning to see some of the benefits of going cashless. All right, so let's talk about the benefits of cashless economy for the everyday Nigerian. The cashless initiatives have taken Nigeria into a new digital era where transactions are done in a digital form. we'll look at the rise of digital transactions, how it has been since the electronic form of doing business came about. You could see that the volume, there's been a very remarkable growth from 2018 to 2024 as it relates to electronic transaction volume growth. There's been some form of improvement right there, although the cash circulation trends was still massive. Yes, was still massive. People were not really too much in the electronic form of doing business. But then the trend, at least the cash circulation trend, began to shrink to an extent, but then it rose again. If you recall in one of our episodes where we talked about the volume of cash in circulation between November and December 2025 was about 2.90 trillion naira, which is still a heavy amount of cash in circulation. And then we could also see the trajectory when it comes to digital money transaction in the form of POS, mobile, and online banking adoption. So these were things that started shrinking to an extent the cash in circulation in the economy. We could look at the digital transaction since 2018. Like I said, there was some form of improvement, about 1,514%. That's really massive when it comes to that digital transactions. It was really up. It was really encouraging. That was the sample data points coming in from the Central Bank of Nigeria. So Nigeria has seen explosive growth in digital payment usage. So that's what I was trying to say when it comes to electronic transactions surging in recent years as cash in transaction, in business transaction, began to snow dive, gradually coming down. So that's one. Now, studies also show that cashless policy boosts financial inclusion. Now, this means what this cashless policy, does is it helps bring more Nigerians into the formal banking system through these digital accounts, mobile transfers, and of course, when you use your, what's it called now? It's cards, but when you use your, no, just, I know I know my producer is telling me ATM. I wanted to use a word, deposit cards or withdrawal cards. There's a word I'm looking for. Just going, yes, debit card. Thank you, my producer there, reminded me there. So you could see the introduction of these digital platforms helping in business transactions, in whatever transactions you want to do, whether it is for business, whether it is for you to send money across to your loved ones, it was very massive. So studies have shown that the cashless policy introduced by CBN has brought Nigerians closer to formal banking. You could even see now when you go to the market space, you could see that even the market woman, the woman who sells plantain, for instance, the woman who sells okra, the woman who sells melon, they have their own ATM, they have their own POS machines to do business. This is all about the cashless policy. I remember when we started, it was difficult. Even the tomatoes woman will tell you, the fresh tomatoes woman will tell you, no, I don't have an account and all of that. But I think that has reduced drastically. You see more of them having these digital platforms through the banking system now, digital platforms, accounts, mobile transfers, and of course these cards as it were. So inclusion and transparency, that's what one of the benefits. We'll look at them critically now, what this cashless policy is all about. So there's accessible banking services against the traditional cash usage. You could see that the accessible, which is the digital banking service now, is now overseeing or taking over the traditional cash usage in the economy. Now, there's also the good thing about the cashless policy when it comes to traceability and audit trails. Now, this reduces fraud and money laundering risk, which is very, very important. Now, for digital transactions, they add transparency and accountability, making it very difficult for, how would I say it now, for fraudsters to hide cash stacked somewhere. And of course, this brings about easier way to track this economic activity. Very, very, that will hurt the economy, by the way. What I'm just saying is that with the cashless policy, it brings about how you could trace how monies move from place to place. If these monies are illegally acquired, and where there's fraudsters doing their thing, and of course where there is money laundering taking place. So it brings about detecting fraud and detecting where there is money laundering going on. So let's look at typical. Now, I just brought out some of the benefits, but let's look deeply into some other benefits that we can